Morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay at the back? Thank you. Uh, I'd like to start by thanking Alec, our tech person, for setting us up today, and apologise for being late with my presentation getting sent in. I just arrived last night and didn't get to bed till late. Just talking with farmers, and I think that's the real magic about this event, is all of the conversations that we have. My name is Jodi Roebuck. I'm from the west coast of the North Island, and we farm in a climate that is wet and windy, probably the wettest and windiest part of the North Island in El Nino. 2.3 metres of rain, a dozen days of 100k winds a year. Anything, we're really 4 seasons in a day. And this season's been a really mixed up one, but that's normal. And so my message today is how we farm through that. And the title of my talk came from a conversation with Jules Matthews, I'm sure you all know Jules now, about what does it take. And so I'm just going to start, I'm going to do a 45-minute presentation, then open up for 15-minute Q&A. And I'm going to go quite quick when I get through quite a bit. So small-scale, direct marketed, local food production. We're currently producing our income from about half an acre. We have about 3/4 of an acre of ground that we do grow in. We're farming through quite a change in the economy the last few years. And we are just south of New Plymouth, 10 kilometres south of New Plymouth, farming in a raised open valley on a mountain ash soil. And we knew this in 1975, they removed our topsoil. So we're farming on a mountain ash subsoil. It's really tight and there's no organic matter. So I'm just going to rewind a little bit. And this is a conversation sparked with Jules. What does it take? How do we get the skills to run an ecological business? And I was talking with Jules and I said, well, 2003, when Tanya was pregnant, my wife was pregnant with our first child, I went to California and did a 7-month internship with John Jevons, author of How to Grow More Vegetables. He farms with very little outside input. I paid equivalent of about $8,000 to do that training, and it was the best thing I ever did. It's the background of our sustainable principles. And Jules said, I never knew you did that. And we're good friends, and I was like, well, it was a long time ago, but I've got a trainee here. You've probably seen yesterday, Gwen has come down with us. She's wearing the Roebuck Farm t-shirt. She's just trained with us for 3 months. It's amazing, shoulder to shoulder, what you can upskill. And this is part of what it takes. There's a lady here called Nicole Masters last year. And she says your plants should have dirty roots. And so that's me there in my internship. And my hairstyle looks like the roots on our plants. Sifting compost, and just while we're on that, in terms of infrastructure, the compost sifter is the first thing we built on our farm. There was nothing, not even a tree, and no reason for a bird to stop on our 7 acres that we brought in '04. And the compost sifter is a game changer for us to be able to make our homemade inputs, our seed raising mix. We make all our own compost. You might think, so what? But that's very unusual in a commercial or, say, a financial operation. And Elliot Coleman, the godfather of market gardening, has just released a book. He's 83 or 86, and it's called The Self-Fed Farm, with a return. He's come out in his last agricultural days slamming municipal inputs and a return to the old ways of growing cover crops and growing on-farm resources. And this is the work that John Jevons has been doing for 5 decades. And the big challenge for us is carbon. How do we introduce carbon recycled through compost into our soils, small scale, without large machinery? And the answer is not municipal. I don't think it's the future of our food at all. So that's a key part of our operation. Here's our bit of land. There was just nothing, and I'm just going to rewind so you can see. There we are in the valley there. Can you have a look? Can you see that okay? So we're about 3/4 of an acre. Right, let's go forward. So what does it take? I think we all need mentors. Hopefully you've all got mentors too. Some of my mentors are here at this event, and this is one of my mentors. So my background in sustainability, nothing's changed, but we weren't making any income. So I was working off-farm farming to subsidise my infatuation with food production. And so the big change came, I think the mindset of this grower, Curtis Stone, the urban farmer in British Columbia and Kelowna, started farming with no experience, no financial support, no family support, cycling around the city with a trailer, with a hay on the back, mulching a garden on someone else's back lawn. And he grew, you've probably seen the urban farmer, and he grew that model to 5 backyards, growing $130,000 of produce on a 9-month growing season. Now that's a viable option. That's not a get-rich program. And in his 7th to 8th season, he got those numbers. I went and trained with him. And his thinking of if it's small, it has to be, I'm going to say higher value or sustainable value. Let's call it that. It has to be viable crops that we're growing, generally fast crops, pay the bills on a smaller production. So and Curtis developed a rating value, and you don't need the same one, but I suggest for your production you create a rating value that is relevant to your context, and this really gives you something to measure against. So if you're small, it's going to be something like fast days to maturity, high value. For us, we're looking for year-round crops, and popular. It's pointless if you can't sell it. We can grow beetroots, but we struggle to sell them. We love them. It's my favourite root veg. So I'm just going to see if I click this again, this is our bed prep. Let's just have a look at, so the history of this model is French intensive market gardening. There we go. So we've opened our soils without any tillage. This is a fork we've developed. This gives us great infiltration, makes everything easy, transplanting, harvesting, pulling crops out. Our carrots, straight out. It allows us to grow more food in a given area. Tiny paths, more surface area grown with food instead of paths and access. So there is no tractor. The farm runs off these 3 tools you're going to see here. So there's bed prep. This is the tractor. It's a tiny surface cultivator that cultivates about 4 centimetres deep. We put the biggest drill there is on here. This allows us to incorporate compost or amendments. It's like having Arnold Schwarzenegger work on a rake for free. And then after we've surface cultivated, it really goes this deep, we can then do our direct seeding. We've got several seeders. This is one called the 6-row seeder, so we can then skirt over top with this seed drill. All of the tools go down one side and back up the other on a garden bed that is 75 centimetres wide. So this allows us to plant 12 rows of salad. These, the tilther, the 6-row seeder, and this greens harvester, all invented by Elliot Coleman in Maine within the last 20 years, 25 years. So prior to that, things were really different. We were cutting the salad like this and planting the seeds like this. And so we're now, with these 3 tools, that's our toolkit. There is no tractor, no diesel. We're producing, and it's all about can you sell it. Every week, year-round, we're direct marketing 120 kg of baby leaf salad a week. So it's about 6 tonne, and we know we can do 10, 12, 15 as our people will buy it. And we can't wait until our Prime Minister says, you've got hydroponics, you've got to label it. And then our consumers can say, well, we might choose something more natural. We think there's a huge potential for not just salad, but for real food. But we're up against a lot of labelling processes. So this cutter allows us to cut salad. I'm standing up, super quick, 10 square metres in 6.5 minutes. Let's look at... I was lying and been talking about this talk for a couple of weeks, and really been looking forward to coming down. And I was lying in bed the other night and I thought, that's it. I've been talking about this optionality thing for a while, and it's not the best explanation, but I was lying in bed and I was like, it's adaptive process. This is what has allowed us to supply 3 supermarkets, 2 retail stores, 6 restaurants through thick and thin, through 150k winds, through 200 mils a day, no matter what the weather, the economy, COVID, Cyclone Gabrielle comes at us. Our fridges have not been empty. I'm not the best market gardener in New Zealand. There is not such a thing, but I'm strong on process. And it's this process that has allowed us to keep our fridges full, which is, so I'm going to run you through our salad mix. So currently, 80% of our farm income is salad mix. The other 20% is from about 20 varieties of vegetables. Last year was our toughest year with recession. My wife and I did 180,000 turnover, predominantly salad, in a really tough climate, both with the weather and sales. And that's without the markup from our shops. So we're still, worst scenario, stuck with the plan of harvest and plant every day, followed by delivery. I just remember my wife, she's on deliveries. So here's the process. We mix it's all baby, red lettuce, red Mizuna, green Mizuna, and I've called our radish microgreens red radish leaves. They're just baby salad, and green radish leaves. So we've got 6 ingredients. And I'm showing my age. ChatGPT told me that gives me 27 variations on our salad. You're never going to see the same salad, but it's always got the same ingredients, but different ratios. We've won multiple gold medals for our salads, and it's the combination of mixing them that gives us the flexibility. So apart from restaurant orders, they're currently 20% of our sales. The other 80% of our salad sales are all consignment-based, which means, I'll come back to that, when we're able to deliver anything, anytime. So the adaptive process, the consignment model, and the having 12 outlets keeps us the options. And I think this is a really important message. You don't have to be a salad farmer, but I think it's really important that our farmers are price setters, not price takers. We need to be the middle person, we need to stock and rotate, and we need to build those strong community connections with our people, our customers. They need to know who we are. So this is our post-harvest. Here's some of the benefits of consignment. This is our fridge at Pack and Save. We started day 3 just in Pack and Save, New Plymouth. So all of our deliveries are within 10 kilometres. 80% of our sales are consignment based, so that means the shop does not buy it. If they sell it, they make a markup on it. If it doesn't sell, that's our risk. So we manage that risk across all of our retail stores. You'll see us in the supermarket stocking and rotating our fridge. We can stock anything, anytime. So there's no orders. So it doesn't matter what Mother Nature throws at us. It doesn't matter if one shop's busier, one's quieter. We can balance it. It's like there's an orchestra and I have to stick. So there's no waste because we manage our inventory. There's no farmer coming to get our vegetables from the back of the supermarket because they didn't sell. There's no ordering. There's no deadlines. You have to deliver by this time. We can go whenever we want. And the supply is sales-based. So we have customers sending us photographs of our fridge. We have front of house people at the independent fishery sending us photos of our fridge, so we know. So the 2 things that drive my working day is the weather and our sales. And if you look at the scale of permanence, which Darren Dohead was talking about yesterday, I'm sure, climate's at the top and he's added marketing at the bottom. Those are the 2 drivers that tell me what I have to do. So every day we start by harvest, followed by planting, constant fast successions. Prior to our expansion, this is about going into COVID. This is what our farm looked like, turning over just over 200k is half an acre, 130 growing beds that are 10 square metres, planted 4 times a year, 6 times in the greenhouse. That's the only greenhouse we had. It's 90 squares. We value every little bit of land. There's no room to turn a tractor around. And we've gone through a lot of changes over the 20 years, but we are now designing farms and standardising them more. Like this farm, Roebuck Farm. I worked with Jules a lot designing this. Super simple, streamlined layout, which means everything fits. Your covers, your irrigation, your measurements, your seeding rates. You start to standardise things. And here's Jules. There's a lot of one-liners that I've picked up from my mentors, and this is the one from Jules that really stood out to me. And she's talking about soil biology and doing soil tests with this. And it is measure, amend, measure, and repeat, and it never stops. And I've applied that with all of my processes on the farm. And once we measure once, you can then see your production. And as long as you can see your production, you know the business is on track. I'm going to come back to that in 2 slides later. Joel Salatin, Polyface Farm. We're sticking with the same theme. I've been able to see your production. He calls it the grazier's eye. How long are you putting the cows in that paddock for? If you're moving them every day at least, maybe multiple times a day, it's like growing a fast crop. You get more feedback. You get better. You just know. You can just see it. These cows are going in for 6 hours. They're going in for a day and a half. They're going in for 2 days. You've done it before. And so here's one example. We're measuring a lot of things by eye. And again, I'm calling this, what did we call it before? Adaptive process. It's going to take me a while to remember that. The simple things take time. So here's one example of measuring by eye. This is one of our biggest, this is our workhorse, this crop. It's direct seeded. It's called Baby Mizuna. We're growing it super short. Are there any graziers here? Okay. So we're doing, if you know one of the grazing methods called ultra-high density grazing, we're doing ultra-high baby leaf salad. We're drilling the seeding rate off the charts. The seed packet we'd put a line through their recommendations on their seeding rates, and we just kept increasing to find out, what's not too much. I'll say it that way. Woo! So our garden beds happen to be 10 square metres. We're drilling. Here's some numbers. We're drilling 100 grams. That costs us $10. In summer, it takes 17 days to grow. In the greenhouse, in winter, it takes 32 days. Average yield is two full Sistema containers. So as long as I can see those containers, I know that we're on. I don't have to take them in and get on the laptop and get on a spreadsheet and wait for Wi-Fi and enter any info. I just need to see, have we got 2 full containers coming off, because we've measured it. And so the more we can measure and amend and measure, the more you can see your production, and just keep going. And at the end of the financial year, you know you're where you plan to be, because you've seen it all year. You've seen it every day. And if it's not right, you can adjust it because you've got that feedback. So here's some numbers. Just basic maths. 10 kilograms at $32 a kg, less just, is $320 a harvest in the 2 containers. And here's the way we like to look at small-scale production. Like, this is really small. This is half an acre. If we divide your income by how many days it takes to grow, then we start to get income per day, and this is where you start to go, aha. And I'm just going to say, if you're small-scale, this is when you start to look at, is this crop working for me? Do we need to just grow it for ourselves and trade it, or completely drop it? And that's one of the hardest things for our psyche, is to drop what's not working. So we're actually selling more salad now than ever in a deep recession, but I still give myself a hard time because I should be growing more diversity. And Jodi Roebuck just makes income from growing a bit of salad. I'm a protein producer. That's my diet, but I don't need to produce that for New Zealand. And we trade. We grow storage crops. We trade a lot of other stuff too. So let's come back to this. In summer, it's $18 a day, and in winter, it's $10 a day. So winter growing is key for us. Our sales are the same each week of the year, but we're well aware that winter, it costs us more to produce it, even though we get the same dollar per unit. More mentors. Jean-Martin Fortier. This was a big impact on me. JM's work, he's the Market Garden Institute. This is his quote: "The one thing you don't have on the farm is time." And I asked this in a lot of talks. I say, "What's the one thing you don't have on the farm?" And people are like, "There's got to be mushrooms, orchard, no, tractor." Once you sit with this, then you start working more smarter and efficiently. The other thing that JM said is 40% of your work is post-harvest. JM just toured end of last year after 10 years since his first tour, and he kick-started the small-scale movement nationwide. And JM looked at our wash and pack and said, "This is the best wash and pack I've seen." Now, there's two ways to look at that. It's only 5 meters by 5 meters. That's a compliment to us, but it's actually not much of a compliment to our market garden movement. Our wash and pack should just be the standard. Safe food for people. We are National Program 1 accredited. We are GAP accredited. We are, I don't know the name for foodstuffs accreditation as well. Basically, we're audited to do safe food for our people. That is our priority. And it's totally achievable. Clean surfaces, stainless, concrete with a drain, potable water, calibrated scales, processes in place, nothing touches the ground, everything on wheels, great lighting. That's totally achievable for all of us. So, this is a diagram we did with agrarians about some of the movements in our wash and pack. It's literally 5 by 5 meters. Here's an image of the jacuzzi for washing the salad. So the process is wash, spin, dry, then mix and put our orders together. Gwen's just been training with us for 3 months, and we're harvesting 5 days a week, 12 weeks, 60 harvests, 60 plantings and harvests. And look at it now. Feeding friends. This is an important part of our business. You know, we can't do everything, and Roebuck Farm's certainly not me. It's all the people around us. It's our neighbours, it's our folks, it's the businesses we trade with. Last year we grew storage onions. Now I'm up against 65 cents a kilogram for poisoned ones. How are you going to get your chefs to pay $12 a kg when they're under the grind with the recession as well? So not for sale, but if you're our people, you got onions all year. And proteins, we now have, I think I got the name right up here, Meat to You. We have a local business that's set up a small micro abattoir. So I can now take my sheep 20 minutes on the trailer, and they go down the chute, and before I get home, I've got the photo of my carcass, they're inspected, and I can now sell my meat to our people without making the news for the wrong reasons. And I'm not far off through my slides here. We are low stress, stock handling, low input, and low frame score with our sheep production. They're not the financial part of the business, but here's things. As soon as we can added value something, things become a bit more viable. It's not worth me sending 20 sheep to Whanganui to go on the truck to go into wholesale. But we're getting really excited about agricultural tourism. They call it agritourism. And I've been working with an amazing company in Australia for 7 years now called Regionality Australia, and they're well aware that tourists travel by their gut. And the travellers are looking for an experience and a connection. I'll come back to that. So 2 years ago, we launched a 30 square metre beautiful tiny home. We put it on Airbnb, and it's just been a hit. We give them a 15-minute tour when they arrive. They're not coming to stalk me, and I was concerned about that, and it did happen once. But they are coming for an experience, and we give them a 15-minute tour. We show them those little tools. We show them how we train the cucumbers up a wire. We show them the jacuzzi, and then we show them their home. And then we're their hosts. You know, what do you want to see while you're with us? Don't be going up the mountain today. Wait till tomorrow. Do you want to dine out? Do you want to dine in? And just that little bit of time has given us, we're now top 1% of Airbnb. My wife manages it. She's super host. 2 years, with no kids and no dogs, but 2 years we've just had beautiful couples coming from all around the world thanking us for allowing them to come. And I'm like, no, you paid. And so I just want to talk a little bit about actually, let's just see. This is last slide. I want to talk about coming through, what does it take, farming through the tough times. Here's a quote from one of our visitors, one of the few genuine hidden gem Airbnbs. And we're well aware that people want a connection and they want an experience. And, it's really easy to provide that for them. So this is where we are. And we're surrounded by short grass year-round. And we're 5 kilometres from the ocean. And both our neighbours have some big blocks of bush. And we do graze the neighbourhood as well. That is my last slide there. I just want to finish with talking about the theme of what does it take. We're pretty open book with what we do. I just want to tell you a story about farming through the recession. So my wife has been off farm working full-time for 17 years. She's a very passionate art history and painting teacher at a girls' school, 1,300 girls. And the plan had always been for her to retire out of teaching and be full-time on the farm. And she has always, there would be no Roebuck Farm without my wife. She manages all of our traffic that comes from around the world at us. We're having a big impact around the world with the work that we do, despite only selling vegetables within 10 kilometres. It's called hyper-local. And we built the Airbnb. We weren't planning that as an Airbnb. We were going to build it as a garden manager's accommodation. And we put up the greenhouse, which was a game changer for us. The winter before, all our salad supply was indoor grown for the first time. Now prior, so it's 400 squares, 5 tonne of steel. Just for one post, the concrete's 1.5 metres deep. That's about this deep. By 600 wide. I mean, you won't believe how much concrete that is in the ground just for a greenhouse. The steel uprights, it's built for Cyclone Gabrielle. So it's $110,000. There's $200,000 investment into a small business without a bank loan. And my wife retired from teaching October 2023. And remember, we're consignment. So I'm off. I was like, finally, Tanya's here. I'm off on deliveries. I'm into pack and save. And I go to my fridge and I'm like, whoa, nothing has sold. We've been hustled for 5 years, like deliver. What is going on? And not a lot of people want to talk about it, but it's the recession starting to. And Taranaki's 10% behind the rest of our other regions. So straight away we're like, whoa, 40%, 15% up every year, our sales. Suddenly overnight we're down by 40%. And it took we went like that for 12 months. Restaurant sales just plummeted. We're still at our same restaurants. And so we're like, there's no money in the bank. This is a hustle. What do we do? And so we just stuck with the plan, kept supplying. We knew that we had another client coming up. Business for me is about relationships. We knew that my uncle, way back in the day, loaned some money to a man to get into his first small supermarket. And the supermarket owners, if it's Pack and Save New World, Foursquare, they're New Zealand owned, and each one is owned by real people, a family. And there's some good ones. So he's called Johnny the Grocer. And so he moved away and he got another, you sell one and you get another one, and he worked his way up the supermarket chain. And we heard that Johnny was coming back to New Plymouth and he was purchasing New World New Plymouth. And so we were like, well, ain't that great timing? So we built this greenhouse knowing Johnny's coming back to town. And my uncle actually passed away, he got run over. Nothing else could kill him. He's a weapon, and with a big heart of gold, he helped our whole town out. And so Johnny Grocer comes back to town. I had a meeting with him. And I know this has been recorded, so I'm going to watch my language. But I went to New World in my first meeting with Johnny. So my uncle's called Keith. Johnny said, "If you look like Keith," so we are supplying. I think there's something here in the supermarket, in the retail space. Because we are bringing value to our community, we are supplying all our stores on our T's and C's. And I think this is crucial for our local regenerative food movement. So we started at New World. We've got 4 shelves and a single fridge. That's all the space they gave us. And we're just getting, even though we're in the economy is down, we're just getting hammered. We've been doing 7-day deliveries for 20 months during a recession. So when you've got a few different options or enterprises on the go and things get tough, you can lean on another one. So we're still super loyal with our restaurants. Like, I would be pushing in 6 crates of produce twice a week to one of our top restaurants. I'm walking 1 crate in at the moment. We know it's going to come back. And we feel, rather than being, restaurant, you don't spend with us anymore, what's the problem? We get it. They're hurting too, just to keep their doors open. And so I think if you're still in business now, we are seeing an increase, and I think we've made it through possibly the hardest financial times in the last 100 years from the research I'm looking at. This is all good news. Google told me COVID cost us $50 billion. Cyclone Gabrielle cost us $40 billion. And the big wind that hit 4 months ago down south, I know Mark was here talking about the tree on the house. We all saw it. And then this weather last week, this is what we're up against. And I think, so my message is we need to find adaptive processes. Not more Roebuck Farms, but it's the process of being the added value, having options, and direct supply to our people. And so we're really excited about the first summer with the recession. We instead of saying, sales are down, I'll just back off, just work 20 hours a week and surf more or whatever, I was like, this is our opportunity to do the mahi, the work that is going to make us better as the economy comes back. So we're ready to expand the greenhouse. We've got the posts and the irrigation, and we know that as soon as the economy comes back, our current places we supply could potentially double. It might take 6 weeks, 6 months, 18 months. We know we can double our turnover, and here's the thinking: we don't need more land. We just need the sales, and we know that they're coming. So I know we'll all be at a different place with the recession, but we're really excited. We are seeing, we're selling about 120 kilogram of baby leaf a week year round. We're selling more salad than ever. It makes sense with our new world. Restaurants are still hot and cold, but the potential is just, I'm going to say it this way: the gap in the small scale market garden movement around the world is the salad, is the fast crops, and I think it's essential on every plate. And it should be the cornerstone of your income, these fast crops, whichever they are. It could be mushrooms. If you're in producing meat, it could be broiler chickens, it could be pigs. They're going to produce a lot quicker than, let's say, a beef. So we're really excited about, is it the year of the gold horse? Goodbye to the year of the snake, and where things are going. And I'm going to finish up with this, then I want to open up for questions. We've got, I think we're a funny bunch, us humans. I mean, all of us. We are, I've got two things I'd like to weave in here. Nicole Masters says the most dangerous words in food production are, this is the way we've always done it. And what I'm seeing, I think we probably all are, is some of the greatest innovation coming from our food producers are from the producers that have been through the toughest times. So can I have a hand raise for those that know the work of Gabe Brown, Soil to Dirt? Okay. And your hand up again if you enjoyed his book. Okay. So there's a new book that's come out end of last year, and it's by Colin Seiss. And Colin's, I think he's in his 80s, and I think it's called Rejuvenating Grasslands. And Colin, as he's writing his book, is talking about Gabe Brown, and Gabe Brown in his book is talking about Colin. And Colin is a sheep farmer. And in 1980, the whole farm burnt down, including the sheep, his cousin, the house, the trees, the fence. And I invite you to check out his new book. It's an epic read about how we can restore our native grasslands that are appropriate to our climate. Our hot climate grasslands are called C4, and our cool climates grasslands are called C3. And what has happened is we've taken our C3s, our cool season grasses, to the hotter parts of the world, and it is not working. They dry off, they become a fire load, and this is the reason for all our big fires. You can see it across California. It's an epic read that I could not put down. I can't say enough about Colin's work. So he rebuilt the farm from conventional to, he termed the input the moron approach. You put more on, moron. And to a regenerative farm with restoring the native Australian grasslands and direct drilling into the grasslands his grains, diversifying the grains with root veg as well, intergrazing with his sheep, keeping the grain on farm to feed to his chickens and pigs. And this is my message. No matter how bad it gets, this is what's making us better. So we're really excited about where we're going in the next 10, 15 years. And looking back, the last 10, 15, it's been a big decade and a half for this whole movement. And there's just so much out there now for us as we move forward with our local community-based agricultural enterprises. That's my time for my presentation. We've got 15 minutes, is that right? We've got 15 minutes to open up for Q&A.
Where do you get your seeds from? What's the security around that? Because you're not growing them yourself.
Yeah, nice. So where do we get our seeds from, and what is the security around that? We used to grow, 15 years ago, the garden was self-sufficient in terms of seed. We would be our next grow out would be from the seed we saved. We are still saving some seed. We've still got the same beans, the same chilies, the same peppers from a quarter of a century ago. The seed is a big input for, especially for a salad business. So most of our seeds come from, there's quite a strong market garden supply in New Zealand, Leafroy Valley, Terra Nova, South Pacific Seeds, from these companies. And as a general comment there, we grow 2 types of Mizuna, direct-seeded baby leaf. We've tried about 40. We grow one, and so on and so on. We've got one carrot we grow, 2 cherry tomatoes. But every year we're constantly trialing stuff. Just if we can with the seed, I just want to come back to if we. So we were growing crazy crops. Like I've been growing about 400 or 500 different types of seed crops, crops that you're not going to grow in your backyard. African teff, Ethiopian lentils, all of the rare winter and summer grains as a seedsman. And then by having a rating value, if I return to seed production, I will be growing seeds for the house gardener, and it's going to be the 10, 15 Kiwi classics. Sweet corn, beans, pumpkin, food that we really eat regularly all the time. So by creating a framework, I'm pretty confident that we could stack in the seed enterprise if there's a market for it. And we know our customer base would be self-provision. Yeah.
As a sort of follow-on from that, what proportion do you use for trials and stuff? How do you balance that with the income-making majority?
Good comment. How do we balance the proportion of trials on the farm? Is that the question? Yeah, that's a big one, because if we're trialing, that it's risky. There's a cost. There's a cost to it, and you've got to find out, does the crop work for me? What's the planting window? Can I grow it 6 months a year, 9 months of the year? Can I sell it? What variety will work? There's a bit to it. So we worked out beetroots on the elongated variety. We grow on a 10 centimetre spacing. We get 5 rows. My first beetroot, I did 5 varieties, transplanted by hand. 10 square metres. I got 1 bunch, $5. We've got no boron in our soil, so we added this much boron. Then I found this transplanter, and I worked out, well, how do I use this transplanter? It's called the paper pot transplanter. And then how many rows can I get on a bed? And I got up to 85 kilogram harvest without tops on 10 square metres. But then the next challenge is, you do your trials, you're like, I can grow this now. Now you've got to sell it. So we struggle to sell spinach, we struggle to sell beetroot, so some of the most beautiful crops. So that's our context, but we can sell salad. I joke about going downtown and throwing cucumbers at people. Like, what is wrong with you? And again, if you research clipper system, we've stolen this concept from the big commercial greenhouses in the Netherlands, and this wire is 40 years old. And this is the problem. If we stay in our little regenerative box, and all other food production is the source of all evil, we can't use the best parts of what they're using. If we stay open to it, we can take the best of it. So we've found this old system from the Netherlands. It's just a wire and 2 clips, and now you can sell your ladder. You never have to get up a ladder in your greenhouse again. I tell you, it's hot up there, and it's dangerous. Our soil is so soft now, and you can be as short as me, still growing. You harvest your cukes. Gwen's been managing the cukes with us. You harvest your cucumber and cut the leaf off, and now you've got clearance underneath. And the cucumber grows up, and you say, no, come back down. You take the bottom clip off, you slide the cucumber down, and you put the top clip back on. And the cucumber goes back up, and you say, no, and you pull it back down from the ground. And so this is the thing. With the trials you want to make, and you want to keep them at something like 5%, but as you find all of these little techniques and time savers, remember the one thing you don't have on the farm is time, we're producing cucumbers for 20% of the work now. So this year we're going to the food bank. They are under the pump more than ever. And instead of throwing my cucumbers at people downtown, I'm taking 50, 60 kg of cukes twice a week to the food bank, and man, I can tell you they're thankful. In the end of the season, our cukes are 10 metres long. They used to be on a synthetic string. We'd just spend days cutting. We've got 50 plants on one bed. 50 plants times 10 metres. It's 500 metres of cutting these plants off the string and winding the string back up. It's not the fun job. With this wire system, you now machete the plants at the bottom, You got your bag on your hip. You take your clips, 2 per plant. All your plants fall on the ground. Honestly, in 10 minutes, you roll your cucumbers up like a big ball of string, and you're ready to transplant your lettuces going into winter, just like that. And this is just one example of a little change that now helps you become just that one step more viable or more efficient, to do higher production or to finish a bit earlier in the day. And it never stops. The details really matter, all the little details. So, your question?
How do you put a price on your product? Kind of keeping in mind the community that you are selling within?
So the question is, how do you price your product keeping in mind the community you're selling in? But big question. That was the hardest part of my, as we transitioned and built the farm and built the wash and pack, wash and pack, the outdoor beds, brought the tools for seeding and harvesting. We're like, how are we going to sell this? It does. It kind of sells itself. We are uncertified organic, so we don't use that word on our label. Our salad lasts two weeks. Our customers tell us how long it lasts. So pricing, we are 33% cheaper than certified organic, and we're 33% more expensive than hydroponic. So we sit in the middle. So here's the thing: your sales are your feedback, I guess. We are able to sell a lot more diversity at our independent fishery and at Pack and Save. And I mean our customers will purchase this because we can put anything, anytime in our fridge. So we are selling, and then we've got a high-end restaurant, a high-end supermarket. I won't name it, but it's a Mediterranean one. Great fit, right? Do you think we would sell our cherry tomatoes there? You would presume so? We stock them and return them. So it's not the high-end bracket. We get treated like rock stars by mums on the floor at Pack and Save because we are stocking our fridge in the supermarket, and that's how we get to, this is our direct market with our customers. And especially the mums, they are thanking us for allowing them to buy our produce to feed their kids. They're like, we buy your carrots for our kids' lunches, and we buy the other ones for soups. When we stocked Pack and Save on they invited us in day 3 of COVID, and we were in there gangster style for the first 2 years, branded, the only branded company in New Zealand. This is our protest against the food system. Supermarket's not the problem. The framework above it needs to adapt to allow our local businesses in. They're telling us they want to do this, they just need to adapt, and our choices in the supermarket need to change. So Pack and Save were like, we didn't ever think you would sell your carrots at that price. They were $5 for half a kg, tops off. We sold every carrot we've ever put. We're doing about 300,000 carrots a year. I just know because my seed bucket's got that many in it, we go through it in a year. And they all germinate. So yeah, if it's selling and your customer feedback is positive, I think the feedback you want to hear twice a year is a complaint. Man, you're expensive.
Okay. So you
And
would raise your prices if you were selling well, and that would go down, okay?
have we raised our prices? Our prices are pretty much the same for the last 8 years. Obviously, our costs have gone up. We're getting more efficient. The cucumbers is one example. Our wash and pack, our processes, our experience, is we're getting, instead of 2 big harvests a week, we are now continual harvest, and I really like this because I've got more feedback. Every delivery, every fridge photograph tells me what has to happen that afternoon. Do I need to go out and harvest more cukes and tomatoes? Do I need to increase my salad volumes with the fastest salad? Yeah, I think I lost my train of thought there with the. So now is not the time to put the price up.
Yeah, okay.
In a recession, but instead of putting price up, we reduced grams. So we made a 17% increase on our award-winning salad mix called Leaves and Shoots. And there's a lot of growers around New Zealand that have trained with us that have got this salad. Wyatt in Waiheke Island, if you're ever at the farmer's market on a Saturday morning, go see Wyatt. He's got a Lees and Shoots. He's not a franchise. It's his salad, his business. But back to the question about trials, the big challenge is finding what works for your climate and for your sales streams. So a lot of the East Coast lettuces, the varieties that are successful and generally the sunny East Coast, don't work on the wet West Coast until you put up a greenhouse. Yeah. So question at the front.
Do you feed your plants just with the compost you produce, and do you ever run out of compost? Are you self-sufficient?
Good question. Thank you. Do we run out of compost? The market garden, our vegetable systems, I'm going to say, are the hungriest of any of our food types. Possibly chickens and pork rely on a lot of grains in terms of meat. So my sheep drink 1 litre of water a day on a hot day. My market garden, 2/3 of an acre in a heat wave, drinks 15,000 litres a day. So water's a big one. We're in a wet climate. That's too wet. So the challenge is to make your own compost. You can't make enough compost for your total land area. What soil are you on? We're in a subsoil. We need to compost more often than someone who's on a topsoil. We're twice a year putting 25 mils on our greenhouse growing. We want to be growing in there continuously. And outdoor veg once a year, if we can produce that much. So if you do an equation, if you need 25 mils on your growing area and do an equation of how many square meters you need, you're going to go, oh, really? And then you times that by 4, that's how many raw ingredients you need, and you need a lot of carbon. That's when you go, ooh, my garden really is quite needy. John Jevons' work of being a closed system, and Koonga as well, great work, but really highlighted to me. We were a closed system our first 10 years. I really believe that the market garden belongs on a farm. And so I've got 2 minutes to go. My access, I'm going back to the scale of permanence, our access cost 25k. Our water setup cost 25k. What was the other one? There was one other. Oh, fencing, about 25k. That's, it is for the rest of the 7-acre property. This 75k setup, I really believe that in our region, Taranaki, every dairy farm could have a market garden of 1/2 to 1 acre, because the access, the water, the fencing is already there, and the fertility. So our neighbours bring us horse manure. Our organic raw milk shop give us old hay and old silage, organic. All of our cover crops that we grow to maturity and manually put through the compost, still not enough. So it's a great question, and that's the challenge that we face. How do we get enough carbon? Where does the carbon come from? And I'm going to finish with this. There's a new book out from the godfather of market gardening, Elliot Coleman. And in the last 20 years, we've got really excited with these new tools and efficiencies and trying to actually become financially viable. We call it profitable, but actually just, subsistence, village living. Elliot has come full circle with an amazing read, and I'm super proud of that he's come back with it's called The Self-Fed Farm and Garden, and it's a return to the old ways. He's hammering municipal inputs. I'm backing with that. And he's cover cropping and returning all of those cover crops to the earth or to the compost process and making all of his own compost. And he's saying this is what they call real organic or deep organic. I mean, he has big concerns with the USDA trying to certify hydroponics, and also big concern with municipal input. So the challenge, it's essential work, and the challenge is how do we make enough? And I think we need to stack our enterprise alongside others. There's a few dairy farmers and beef farmers and sheep farmers here, if you need to stack an enterprise with them. Thank you for coming to listen to our talk this morning. It's my pleasure to come down to Underground. And Thank you again. Thank you to everyone at home keeping the farm going so I can be here. Thank you to everyone who has made Underground happen. And thank you to you for making the effort to get here. I know we've all got things that we had to do before we could leave to come. So thank you.